Here is the most secret Avengers number 3. It has got a wraparound cover, and with the extra room they still haven't managed to find a space for War Machine. This video has been a long time coming. This issue is the issue that totally screwed up the Serpent art and all of its history. It seems like a small thing to get hung up on, but the Serpent art has a long history dating back to the Silver Age, and it has been a major part of several big stories and crossovers. Its mythology involves so many different corners of the Marvel universe. Well, our new history of the Serpent art, it takes us back to the Wild West. Darn tootin', ye old Wild West. Because artist Mike Deodato Jerk says on his Tumblr he wanted to do John Carter inspired shite, so that is why this is part of the story. These Confederate soldier boys, they hear the siren song of the Serpent art, and this is meant to be like our beginning, the beginning of the Serpent art. So straight off the bat, we are retconning the Serpent art's presence in a bunch of Conan the Barber stories that obviously all predate the Cowboys. Ant-Man, the Derek Sullivan version, he fell through a porthole so that he can be forgotten about for the story. Meanwhile, on Mars, the Avengers are approached by a big alien thing, and the big alien thing, he is hunting the Serpent art. But as we saw last issue, Black Star put the Serpent art on, and he is now being controlled by it. We get to see Velcro fight the Serpent art empowered Black Star here, and Velcro, she gets her arse kicked. Scarlett Johansson and Moon Man, they got beat off panel. We didn't even get to see that. The two of them didn't get to appear in the issue at all. Derek Sullivan has ended up in the bad guy's base on Earth, and he is going to stay there for the rest of this story. The bad guys are one of the Cowboys from the start, and Maxwell L. Jackson, the evil robo-copy of Samuel L. Jackson. And here we learn that there are 3 Serpent arts. There is the one on Mars that Black Star is wearing, the one on Earth that they have, and a third one that we didn't see and is only ever brought up once more after this. But yeah, fine. If you want to introduce a second or third Serpent art, that is fine. You can just logic that nobody knew about it, or that it was hidden on Mars. But the problem is that we get this detailed backstory of the Serpent arts, this big retcon. The alien thing decides to clue the Avengers into the history of the Serpent art, and it is flat out, it is irreconcilable with the very ironed out continuity previously established. We already had a thorough accounting for the original Serpent art. its originy, what it does, how it affected a bunch of Marvel history. With this, we are getting rid of all of it. For example, the evil serpent god, who created the Serpent art. He's not involved with the Serpent art anymore. Now it was made by a different, unrelated evil god from space who has never been seen before and will never be seen after this. It's like Jenga blocks. By changing the Serpent art to be some shite about Mars, you have screwed up a bunch of art stories. And with your Jenga tower, you have little blocks that didn't seem that important to the structure. Stuff like a random Avengers story, or maybe a Fantastic Force one that doesn't make sense now. But then you have the bigger foundations of the tower. Other mythologies built around the Serpent art, or woven within its history, like s.h.i.e.l.d. s.h.i.e.l.d's entire history has been screwed up because of what seems like a little retcon here. Well, this one big part of s.h.i.e.l.d's history is no longer apparently canon. I don't know why this dark evil god from Mars would have modelled his art on serpents, when this stupid backstory says he and the arts existed long before any life on Earth did. Any life which would include serpents as a species. And if you are trying your hardest to make this new iteration of events work with the hard one, well, here the alien says that all three serpent arts were created by this new darkest evil god. Not that two were made by him and one was maybe on Earth and maybe made by an evil serpent god. It really does toss out this established continuity in favour of this unimaginative nonsense about Mars and a dark god, all of which never gans anywhere. And so our boring alien man, he tries to fight Black Star, and just like Velcro, he gets beaten very quickly. If there was a better story to prop up this offence to continuity, it might be less of a problem for me. But this is a weak story where the Avengers barely day out. We end with them having done nothing for a whole issue except listen to a retooled version of history that breaks about 20 previous stories. I didn't recommend it. I cannot be asked saying much more about this pointless story that did the equivalent of just tearing out a bunch of pages from the Marvel Andy books and flushing them down the loo. Even if you ignore the continuity aspect, it's not a good comic, it's not a good story. Velcro got beaten up, and that was the most that any of the main characters did. I rate it Serpent thumbs up.